YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Drycha here, and we are at Galbaraz, the multiplayer map. This was another battle from my stream this week. On the stream for multiplayer, I played a bunch of 1v1s against viewers, and this was one of them. And in this case, I'm going to slow it down for just a second. Wood Elves were picked for me by one of the viewers. It was actually Regina, who is a huge elf fan, so she picks me the Wood Elves, and I decided to go a little bit crazy here, so I pulled out Drycha with the pendulum, with Pit of Shades and the miasma, and I've got a tree rush. So I have 4 kin, 4 dryads. The dryads, one of them is the winter, whatever they call these ones, wraiths of the frozen heart. Sorry. And I've also got the firebark elders here. And then as far as other units, I've got 2 glade riders with spears, one on each side of the battlefield, and then I have a couple of zotes. So this is definitely a Drycha focused build. Pretty much all forest spirits, or it is all forest spirits except for the glade riders with spears, and I guess they'll just count as our pointy-eared minions in this one. We're up against Marcus Wulfhart. He's got the hunter snare and his sniping ability. He's got a line of state troops up front. Swordsmen are a nice pick. They have shields, and they'll do decent against elven infantry. There's a spear on either flank, and also a halberd on either flank for a little bit heavier AP punch. And then, rather than bringing, different other types of skirmishers like crossbows or whatever, the huntsmen here are a nice pick. They're good against large. They're not like a real quick reload or anything, but they do a ton of damage to large units, so it's an interesting pick. And then an amber wizard, not something we see every day here, but beast is a good lore. And I'm imagining we got probably transformation of Kaiden. No, curse of Unrare, so he was expecting me to have range. And so that was kind of good, because that's going to get nullified since I don't have anything for him to... I mean, Curse of Unrare, I think, does impact others, but it is also good against range. Yeah, it impacts melee attack defense. Never mind, so it'll still be useful. And then he's got a Jade Wizard as well. The Jade Wizard has some heals. We're going to have the Black Lions War Wagons here. This is an interesting pick against the Wood Elves, but very dangerous unit to a lot of other units. A couple Empire Knights, solid pick against the Wood Elves. Unless Stag Knights are around, those guys are going to do well. I ended up coming headlong into him, and I knew I was going to take a lot of fire. I do probably feel like this was a mistake. I should have probably put some of my forces on both flanks and forced him to pick a direction. But whatever. I came headlong into him, and I was hoping to close the distance quickly, get a breakthrough into the back lines, shut down the skirmishing, and then finish off everything else with the tanky treekin. Immediately a Pit of Shades for Drycha to try and put down the White Wolves, but you'll notice the White Wolves are a bit further spread type of unit, and this actually gives them some natural protection from Pit of Shades. You might be like, protection? What are you talking about here? It killed like half their unit. It could have done more had they been a little bit tighter together. You can see Wulfhart dropping back and trying to kill some treekin, and he has done a nice job of picking off treekin units. Very effective there. I summoned a Dryad unit to chase back the archers, and I'm punching through with some Zotes. And the problem here, though, is that if I go after the Black Lions, I take the charge from the Knights. If I go after the Knights, I take the shots from the Black Lion, and then on top of that, the Hunter Snare here from Wulfhart just puts me in a terrible position where my breakthrough gets totally slowed down, and the White Wolves get an opportunity to reposition, and then my Spear Riders got caught over here. On this side, I did a little bit better job. I cleaned up the Empire Infantry, and we're going to get some push going into here, but these Empire Knights are a real pain in the butt. My Dryads are terrible against them. They're not getting much damage here. I managed to basically kind of catch the Black Lions, but you can see that the Empire Knights are going to come body block for them, and remember, all those archers got free as well. And if I pick one, I get the other, so unfortunately I just don't have the numbers back here to pull this off. And so my Zotes die very quickly to the wolves, the White Wolves, and the other huntsmen. The Zotes just don't have a ton of armor, and so they're going to be vulnerable to that unit of huntsmen. I'm going to push forward with the Dryads, try and engage some of these halberds and other units, but it's not looking great for me at this point. My attack kind of got blunted early. I'm going to keep pushing as hard as I can and see if we can make something of this, but it's a struggle now. It's going to be an uphill battle. I don't really have a means to answer Wulfhart. It's going to be very difficult to get at the Black Lions and the Huntsmen. You can see me swinging wide over here to make an attempt at it. I was able to get the Wraiths of the Frozen Heart into some of the Huntsmen over here. But look at this. He's going to try and pick me up here. Oh, no, I did this. This was the Pit of Shades. I was going for his Huntsmen. I caught them. Unfortunately, it got some of my Dryad as well. But at least I managed to get some huntsmen in there, because at this point I was desperate to get rid of those huntsmen. And I was doing everything I could, but unfortunately it cost me a little bit there too. Another hunter snare, a terrible moment for me. So the black lions, the huntsmen, they're all just going to be firing in here. My zotes are going to get absolutely massacred, and there's very little I can do about it. So continued very nice use of general abilities, and combining that with the ranged fire. So you can see that my forces are being whittled down, hewn down, if you will, and turned into lumber for the use of the Empire. No doubt they will be singing around the campfire and singing songs, enjoying their time, while the Firebark Elders are churned into the Charcoal Elders. So, yeah, not looking good for my Drycha Rush. It is fun to do the Drycha Rush. I think in order to pull it off, though, I might have needed to bring a little bit different units here. You know, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could have brought some of the Eagles and stuff to kind of do some swooping while I had Wolves and other fast-moving units for distraction, and then bring in probably more Dryads than I had, and a little bit less Treekin, just a couple. And then, you know, I'm thinking maybe instead of Zotes, I should have probably just focused with some Hunters of Kurnos. Probably would have been a better pick. I don't know if they can win up against an Empire Knight because they lack the armor piercing, but they do have the bonus versus large. I don't know, I needed something to be able to get a little more damage done, and I needed a way to counter the Empire skirmishing. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what would have happened if I would have brought a more traditional Wood Elf build with, like, a fair number of archers and kiting and stuff like that? Well, the Black Lions are actually a pretty decent pick there because they have pretty, you know, solid range. However, if you could somehow sneak some Way Watchers up close enough, it'd be interesting. But I like this Empire pick. There's a lot of shields in the front of it. Wulfhart's got range. He's got snares. And snares really disrupt the Wood Elf's ability to kite and to move quickly. So I think it's a good pick. And then the Amber Wizard is also an interesting pick because it gives a little bit of speed and damage that they can spread out across the Wood Elves, as well as the Curse of Honor Heir should they feel it's necessary in the right situation. But then Double Wizard is just not something you see every day. But in this case, I think it works out because you don't have to spend a lot of money on the Life Wizard here, the Jade Wizard. It doesn't cost much, you know, to bring them like this with one spell. And then you've got your damage dealing component mixed with the Amber Wizard. And then Wulfhart, again, also basically has spells here because of the Hunter Snare. So yeah, pretty effective combination. I like it. Not exactly what I was expecting from the Empire. But then again, neither was my build probably what he was expecting from me. So we both tried something that was a little different and hopefully going to be a little surprising to the opponent. And in this case, my opponent's pick worked out better. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Like, I had pretty good luck on my stream last night. This was a battle that didn't go as well for me, so I thought I would show it from the standpoint of just showing you all, you know, sometimes, you know, your pick will leave you a little bit hampered. Maybe my deployment left me a little bit hampered too, right? I could have deployed a little wider. I could have deployed more to each flank and then forced him to pick a direction rather than coming straight at him and allowing his formation to be more effective, right? There's things I probably should have done differently. So it just didn't end up working out. Anyway, Drycha's going to sit here and fight this one, though she isn't really much of a match for an Amber Wizard on a Griffin. I love the coloring on the Amber Wizard's Griffin, by the way. It's absolutely awesome. A unit that came back out of Warhammer 1 and just looks even more awesome now. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this one, though, because Drycha's tough, and it takes him a minute to knock her out. But an excellent victory for the Hunts Marshal's expedition there. And my opponent with Wulfhart, if we take a look at the value, Wulfhart didn't get a ton of value, but he could have easily. He dealt a lot of damage. It just wasn't, you know, directed against the more expensive units. But the snare was absolutely clutch. You don't get a gold value on the snare, but it was huge, right? If he hadn't used the snare to slow down my Zotes that were punching through there, he could have been in trouble. The snare gave him the control of the battlefield, right? It allows him to slow down and get what he needs, and then stops me when I need to move fast. The Black Lions did well, over 2,000 value. Amber Wizard, not a ton of value, but a very valuable unit because it causes terror. It can swing around the battlefield quickly and help support different fights. I believe, though, that the Huntsmen were an excellent pick. We got pretty good damage out of the White Wolves, and even better value out, or just as good or better, out of the other two. So nicely done there. One of these halberds did okay. Yeah, this one right here did pretty good. The Empire Knights were a pain. I just could not get rid of them. Drycha got a fair few kills, not surprising. Pit of Shades is really good, and she's a pretty tough melee character. My Zotes just could not get the job done. Both of them did terrible, so this was a huge value loss for me. I could not get them in the fights that they needed to be in, like against the Empire Knights, for instance. And then this left the rest of my army very vulnerable, and it just did not work out well. In any case, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you soon with some more action in Total War Warhammer 3.